Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the May 17th Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about how it is now time for that second chance to really clarify and say what you are ready to show up for and with which tools and resources. Mercury is now moving forward and finishing up those 3 passes through 6 to 15.5 degrees of Taurus. And it wraps us up on May 31st. And really, can't you feel that clarity that you've got compared to how you were in early April about what it is you want to show up for? And that's what we get to do for the rest of this month. Over the next 3 weeks, we'll be wrapping up this first phase of the year. That's really how I think about these first 5 months of 2023. We've gotten a chance to see which structures no longer serve us. They've been around for a very long time in our lives, but it's time for us to move on. And we've gotten a peek at what that's going to be. We've also gotten to see who is actually in the boat with us sharing this experience. It's probably a smaller group than you would have thought, but now we know who they are. And now we can also see what it is we want to be or show up as is in that new self, as that new self in 2024. The second phase of the year, what I sometimes call the halftime show, will start in June. And that will be shortly after we meet again. So really use these next 3 weeks to wrap things up, get that clarity, tell anyone who needs to know, and to look for those threads of growth and expansion that are coming in June and pull on them because that's where you'll want to be. I also mentioned that I'll be holding another free webinar about how to break your barriers this year on Wednesday, May 31st at noon. So if you'd like to join me, click on that link below and get some understanding of how specifically your life is going to be shifting over the next 12 months and some coaching from the universe about how you'll recognize the signs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. So, Mercury is going forward, and I am so relieved. It felt it felt noticeable for me. I don't know how it felt for everyone else, but I definitely have felt the shift of, okay, like I'm ready to know what I want to do, where I want to show up. And I feel like I have this very long journey ahead of me. And we're going to talk about if you're feeling that, why that's probably the case. We'll be able to see that visually when we look at the movement of the planets. But it's time to get going. And what's actually happening is we are wrapping up the first half of the game, the year, and we're going to be entering into what I call halftime. And it's going to be the halftime show, which I think will be a break in a lot of ways, because it's going to have its own energy right up front that's going to feel fun, I hope. And we'll talk about some of that, but we still have about 3 weeks to go before we get to the end of the first half. And that's what we'll be talking about today, because it's going to be 3 weeks before we meet again. Okay. Any questions from anyone before I get going? Okay. All right. Well, here we go. I'm going to share my screen and here we are today. And what when we left off, what we were noticing was that Mars is opposite the Pluto that is giving us our New Year's resolution, that is making us recognize that something is changing, that we've got to get the structures together to get us to this new world that we're going to be living in Aquarius in 2024. And Pluto is still in Aquarius for a little less than a month now. And this perspective of Mars being across from that is one, this feeling like, oh my God, I'm so far away from where I know I need to be. And you are, because you are all the way across the field, right? You're as far away as you can possibly be. And if you've ever run a long race, you know that getting to the halfway point is like, thank God I'm at the halfway point. And oh my God, I have to do all of that still to get to the finish line. And that's kind of where we're at, is entering into this phase. And so this is going to be a 3-week looking through all the movement of the planets. And one of the things that you can see right away as we watch this is this gap here, about 17 degrees between Venus and Mars. And that gap is going to close over the next 3 weeks. So let's take a look. There's Mars opposite the end of the Pluto portal on the 20th. On the 29th, Sun moves through or enters into that Mars portal at 8 degrees Gemini. So remember that Venus went through a little while ago, giving you some validation that your ideas were right on. And if there was some acknowledgement that, oh, you get to go maybe try this, this is when that opportunity comes. I had mentioned having just a little bit of patience, that it would ripple through from May until June. Hey, Cher. And this is when it starts coming. So whatever you put your heart into from September to March, this is the time to start taking steps towards that or through that to set up the stage for your growth next summer. On the 31st, the end of the month, the Mercury portal is complete at 15.5 degrees Taurus. So between now and then, this is your second chance, the time where you get to say to yourself and to the other people around you, this is what I'm doing. And it's also a great time to use that opportunity to say, and here's what I'd really like to do with it over the summer, starting in the summer, because that growth is going to be there. Then on the 3rd, Mercury is going into that Uranus portal. It's finished up like recognizing where the growth is. And then just a few days later saying, okay, here's how things need to be shaken up. So remember, the portal is open for Uranus, and we've kind of already done some of that or lived through the experience of what is going to be shaken up and restructured. It's almost like recognizing that, oh, this is going to be the barrier to my growth. And I see you, and I'm going to do whatever I can to shake you up. And that's going to happen for a couple days. And on that same day, Venus is now opposite where Pluto is. So just this acknowledgement of where you're at, trusting your instincts. If you could see when Mars went through, oh God, I feel so frustrated. I need to do something. And Venus, when it comes through, is like, okay, maybe you have a little bit of a green light to take that on, to make this turn and keep coming back to where you need to be in January. On the 4th, Mercury actually passes over Uranus. So you may be talking about or thinking about the shift that needs to happen, especially if you have something at 20 degrees. On the 5th, Venus finishes being across from that Pluto portal. So it's just a couple days. And on the 6th, Mercury leaves that Uranus portal. And then on the 7th, we meet again. So that's 3 weeks. Let's go back and watch one more time. I don't know if you guys could see how Venus and Mars were getting close together. And the other thing that you can also see is Mercury, that green here, starting to move forward, and it gets faster and faster towards the end. So it's really slow. It's probably just now starting to feel like, okay, I'm ready to start talking and ready to start thinking, and it will speed up and start catching up to the sun next month. All right, here we go. And there we have it. Okay. So, a great time if you've got your playbook to remind yourself of what it is that is changing in your life this year, what structures you are no longer serving you, and where you're going to, how you're stretching to see around the corner, how life is going to change for you, and what validation are you going to get as Venus comes across, what frustrations, perhaps excitement, maybe of I can't wait to get there, as Mars is across from them. And, um, you know, the other thing is remember that this whole Mercury portal is happening while Pluto is still in Aquarius. So how is where you are showing up, what you are doing with your physical body, with your tools and your resources, how is that matching the future you? What do you want to kind of hold on to and remember that you want to grow to get to that new place in 2024? And that ties into this Mercury portal on page 26. It's moving direct for the next 2 weeks, actually exactly until the 31st. So this is your second chance, the time to talk to it, to reflect on what has changed for you, because remember, there's this tiny overlap with last year's Uranus portal, and thinking, oh, and saying to people, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to be, where I'm going to show up. And then pulling on any thread that feels like that place that you want to show up is opening up for you to receive you starting in June. And then the Uranus portal, as Mercury moves through it from the 3rd to the 6th, seeing that is some area of my life where I'm showing up that needs to shift. And you've already had the sun move through there earlier this month. What might be some indication of that? And then thinking about how you're going to do that, and at least being able to call it out when Mercury passes through and saying, okay, this is where I'm going to do that. And then picking actually the growth path that is possibly going to allow you to shake that up. And finally, this Mars portal that really kicked off our year way back in September of 2022. From May 29th until June 16th, the sun moves through these degrees of Gemini. So how are you actually taking steps, mindful activity towards those ideas that you have had for a very, very long time? and recognize that since these are just the seeds of your growth for next summer. I almost think of them as like the little prereq classes that you have to take before you get into the program that you've enrolled in or signed up for next year. It's like, okay, you're admitted, but before we let you get started, you're going to have to do this little bit of work. So just notice between these dates, what are you doing that is supporting that growth? Don't give up on what you were committed to back from September to March. You are taking steps, but it is going to take a year to really get to the place where it's going to expand and grow. So the way I'm thinking of these next 3 weeks before we meet again is that this is like the end of the first phase of this year. We've had so much happen, a lot shaken up, a lot shift. And this next period is one with the Mercury portal completing, recognizing, okay, I'm picking my spot. This is where I'm going to be. And this is what I need to do to fully be in sync with what I'm going to be in 2024. And speaking to that, acknowledging it to yourself and to others, because surely wherever you're showing up is impacting the people around you, and pulling on those threads that allow you to grow more deeply or more expansively in whatever way that fits with your situation starting in June. Just keep following those threads. They may not all be here right now, but when you take each step every day, they start to show up. And now that you've got this awareness, you can look for them. So the first thing to remember is that we've got this backdrop of Mercury completing. So letting that be our guide to think and speak about what we're doing. And inside of that, Mars here is opposite that Pluto portal. So it may feel frustrating, like you're so far from where you were trying to get to, but let it inspire you to find that escape route through growth, appreciation, and change. Recognize that, yes, you have a long ways to go, but that also means you don't have to do it overnight. And there's so much that is going to happen this summer that's going to help you be the new person that you know you want to be and need to be in 2024. And keep that inspiration. On the 29th through June 16th, the sun is moving through that portal. So just paying attention to how you're acting on those ideas you had mindfully, and that these are the seeds of your growth. So don't give up on what you put your heart into. And then after Mars is across in the portal, then Venus is across. So from some validation that you're on the right track to create a new structure that's going to lead you to the where you want to be in 2024. And finally, Mercury, after it's completed its portal here, moves right into the Uranus portal, recognizing the change that you see coming up for the next 12 months. And actually, when you think about it, that timing is perfect of that shift happening so that you're ready for the growth that is coming in 2024, right? You know that if you had to start on it tomorrow, you wouldn't have all the tools in place. And that's what these next 12 months are for, is getting everything together so that you're ready to like jump on that moving train practically and get that going. So tips to thrive. This is it. This is the part I always love about the Mercury retrograde, is it's your second chance. If you can recall back to the beginning of the portal in early April, which feels like a very long time ago, there probably wasn't as much clarity. And now I think you probably have so much more, even if it's not exactly together. So use the rest of this month to express where you want to show up. And when you speak it, more comes. And just pull on any thread that feels like the place where there's an opening that aligns with that, and see where it takes you. And remember that you are aiming for a new you in 2024. And while you may not be able to see the exact path right now, we're just wrapping up stage 1, right? This is just the first part of it. Each step leads to the possibility of the next step. And soon it's going to be the halftime show, which I always love, when we're going to have Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury, like, giving us a lot of fun. And that will help us get to where we need to be. So I think that's it. Because it's a 3-week gap, what I decided to do is run my webinar again in 2 weeks, on that day that we would have met. And I'm going to do it at noon. And I had a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do a few more of these. So if you can want to join, let me know. If you did it already and want to join again, write the questions. We can talk about it more on the call, but it's fun. And I think it's really helpful just to get so much clarity on what that actually means for you personally. We did Jane Fonda as the example. I'll probably do Jane again, unless I can find another person with enough good tools that come into play. So any questions? Are you guys, like, if you think back to April, are you feeling like there has been this big shift in terms of clarity on, like, what it is you need to do and how to apply yourself to what you care about? Oh my gosh, Cameron, I see you chuckling up there. You're doing great.
Thanks. Lots going on.
Yeah, no kidding. But that looks beautiful wherever you are. You just need some sunshine. Cher, how are you doing?
Okay. I'm doing well. Thank you. Hi. Yeah, well, April, I moved to California, so I'm still landing, I have to say. Not a lot of clarity yet, but definitely taking steps. Everything's making sense, what you're saying. So I hope may it be so, in terms of the seeds, and just wanting to have a little bit more patience with myself, because it's like you want everything to happen now. You made the shift, let's go, So I am, trying to be patient and, and taking step by step, so it all makes sense. What you're saying seems to be very aligned with what you're saying, with me and what you're saying.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's almost like if you came here in April, and that's kind of that Taurus energy, and the Jupiter growth goes until next March, that's almost your time frame for landing and really letting those roots sink in. And it may come in a couple stages, but this summer is really that first stage of expansion. You'll get 2 waves. You'll get that first wave this summer, and then the next wave starting in January. So I feel like there's optimism that comes with knowing that that's all there.
Yeah, it's very helpful to have what you're saying, almost like a structure from the stars, right? Getting a structure, and there's some kind of I don't know, comfort in that, in a sense, that there's like some stability, some guidance there, so it all makes sense. And I didn't get a chance to download the other webinar yet. It looked, I skimmed it and it looked a little daunting, and I couldn't print it because I don't have a printer set up yet. So I'm going to go back in and look again, but it looks very interesting. It just looked like a lot. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yes, I do. And we do it step by step, and let's connect separately and I'll figure out how to get you a hard copy.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
asking. Yeah, thank you.
And you can always join the next one too for fun.
Yeah, that would be, you said, a repeat of the last one?
I think so.
Okay.
You know, it is and it's not. Each time is different, is what I've
Right.
learned. And but you get what you need whenever it is supposed to happen. And the one thing I'd wanted to say is you're not behind.
Mhm.
You're not anywhere other than where you're supposed to be. So I
Ah.
hope there is that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very encouraging. Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Min, how are you doing there? I think you're muted. Yes.
All right. Yeah, things are busy. Things are pretty intense. Just yeah, and maybe I'll make it to the webinar on the 31st. I obviously missed the other one totally.
That's okay. Yeah, it'd be fun to have you. Good. All right. Theo is awake. Cameron, I know that it's hard to
Yes.
talk while you're walking and got a sleepy baby there.
Yeah, we're just
Good to see you.
trying to get a little dog walk in before dropping him off at his nanny share. So it's the
Good.
juggling, but yeah.
Hi, Theo.
There's Panda. Yeah. But yeah, well, it's good to check in sometime soon. I just wanted to pop on the call, and I think I missed that there was a webinar too. I don't know that I'll be able to make. I don't think I'll be able to make it on Wednesday. That's actually the end of the Mercury portal, right? And
Yes,
on the
that's
31st.
right. Actually, that's good timing.
I remember because it's my birthday.
Gosh, that's right. That's right.
But yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I'm happy to see you, and we'll connect again soon, I hope.
Definitely. All right, you guys, this is it. This is like the end of the first half of the show, the game, and then we get to the halftime show, which I think will be a lot of fun. Okay, I hear there's some great performers, and it's all of you. So, all right, I'll see you guys in 3 weeks. As always, reach out if you need anything, and I'm here to support all of you. Bye. I hope you feel prepared to move through these next 3 weeks. Simply focus on where it is you want to be, with whom, which tools and resources you want to be using, and then pull on any threads that seem to expand those possibilities. You are exactly where you need to be right now. And it may feel like there is this very long journey ahead. And thank goodness that it is a long journey, because if you had to be ready and done tomorrow, you wouldn't have all the tools you need. And that is what is coming this summer. So relax and let's move with it. Let's see what this halftime show is bringing us. And I'm excited for all that is coming. If you'd like to join me in my free webinar on May 31st about breaking your barriers to your growth, just click on the link below, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.